Bumblebee is the 6th Transformers movie, and a movie that I wasn't really looking forward to because the Transformers franchise has really disappointed me. I like the 3rd one, and I think the first one's okay, but besides that, I think all the other Transformers movies are boring pieces of crap, and I hate them. I really hate the movies. I cannot tell what's going on. The direction is awful. The action is awful. Everything is awful in those movies. But in Bumblebee, everything works in this movie. The 6 movies in franchises this year have been really, really great. Aquaman, the 6th DCU movie, really revitalized that franchise. Mission Impossible Fallout was the 6th Mission Impossible movie and was the best one yet. And same to say with Bumblebee, because Bumblebee blew me away. This movie surprised the heck out of me. This movie was so fun, so goddamn entertaining. For a Transformers movie, I loved it. Starting off, Bumblebee himself, the CGI was flawless throughout this entire film. I never felt that these were robots having big CGI battle explosions. The CGI was really convincing here. The action sequences were so great. They're minimal, but they are great. There's some great action sequences towards the opening of the movie. This movie's setting was amazing. It felt like it came straight out of an 80s movie. This movie actually feels like an 80s movie. It also feels like the 80s Transformers cartoon, and I think that's going to make a lot of Transformers fans really, really happy, including myself. But mainly this movie does feel like it does come out in the 80s. This movie didn't come out in 2018, no. This movie came out in 1987, because I was convinced that the entire of this movie came out in 1980s, because it feels like it. The soundtrack in the movie was great, because Bumblebee loses his voice at the start of the movie, and he has to use songs, and he discovers all these different music, 80s music, and it's amazing. There are so many great song choices in this entire movie. The soundtrack was incredible in this movie. I loved it. Just some really great music, also a pretty solid musical score. As I've said, the action was also really, really good, but I was able to follow what was going on. I was able to see what was going on, and it doesn't focus on all the massive explosions. It focuses on the characters in those situations. Bumblebee himself has some great moments in this movie to shine. There's great emotional moments in this movie. There's some really great comedy as well. I really, really did like that. The pacing here is flawless. There wasn't a second that dragged. This is a 1 hour and 54 minute movie that feels like 15-minute short film, and it was so great. The pacing flies by. This movie, when it finishes, it feels like it's just been on for 15 minutes on like an episode of a TV show. It's so well paced. It's one of the best films I've seen all year. It's one of the most surprising movies I've seen in the year, and I really, really did love Bumblebee. It had a lot of fantastic and great moments, but the characters, the human characters, were really good here. The girl has a lot of emotional ties to her. I really, really liked her character in the movie. The boy she goes around with was also a likable character. I thought John Cena's performance was pretty good, but his character was a bit weak, but I really liked his performance in the movie. The plot was really, really well done. I cared about everything that was going on. I was invested in everything that was going on. I was excited to see what would happen next. There are so many moments. There's probably about 10, 20 moments that I was like, yes, this is the Transformers I want to see. This is how Transformers should have been done the first time. And I kept thinking that all the way through this movie. It made me so happy as a Transformers fan. And I'm not even a fan of the Transformers movies, because they're all bleeding crap, but this movie was goddamn great. I have some issues with the movie, I'll get into those later, but it was great. There are some great action sequences. The Cybertron battle at the opening of the movie was fantastic. It was only on 3 minutes, I needed a lot more of that, but it was still great, and I cannot wait to see more Transformers movies done like this. The direction was also very, very good in this movie. It's a lot better directed than the other Transformers movies, which is something I really, really liked. It doesn't focus on the action, it focuses on the story and the character, but it still has all those amazing action moments that you would expect, which is something I really, really liked. There's some great redemptions for some certain characters in the movie, and the movie doesn't stop. It always keeps you going, it always keeps you invested, and that's something I really, really liked about Bumblebee. It's also a very heartwarming movie that sort of felt like a children's family 80s comedy action thing. It was really, really cool. It sort of felt like E.T. In that aspect. It's not that similar to E.T. though. There is very different comparisons between those two movies. I'm just using it as an example. But again, this movie really helped with the setting. The music was great. I really cared for the Bumblebee character. When we got to see Optimus Prime, we did. It was great. The villains in the movie, the Decepticons, were really great. They weren't cheesy like they were becoming. I was like, oh no, this might not work, but actually they really worked. I really liked them in this movie, and they really added a lot to the awesome action sequences as well. Some of the dialogue also could have come out a bit cheesy, but it didn't. It came out really, really cool, and I really, really liked that as well. Another thing I really, really appreciate about this film is that it still stays intact. It's still connected to the other Transformers movies. And it's not really a spoiler, but some people may see it as a spoiler, so if you want to skip the next 30 seconds or so, then do. But at the end of the movie, it sort of makes it out that this was a prequel to the first Transformers movie. So that's actually pretty darn cool that Bumblebee was actually sent down first. So it sort of makes you want to go rewatch the first Transformers again and see. But to me, it actually felt like it was a prequel, or maybe they're starting another franchise. Maybe they're starting a new Transformers franchise with new characters. That would be pretty darn cool, because I love this style. I love the look of some of the Transformers again. They feel like they've come straight out of the cartoon, and it's so goddamn cool. Also, that sort of leads me into a couple little issues I have with the movie. The first thing is that the military, subplots that were going on, I didn't really care for. They're not as bigly done as some of the ones in the earlier Transformers movies, but just the scenes with that, I didn't really care for. But they were still good. They were still there, and they needed to be there to carry the plot along, so I didn't really mind them. And another thing is, the movie didn't really know how it wanted to end. It was like there's loads of different ending shots. I thought, alright, this would be a great ending shot, this would be a great ending shot. But it's like they had so many ideas for an ending shot that they sort of just went with all of them and mixed them all together. There's even like a mid-credit scene that they sort of do. It's not really a mid-credit scene, but it just doesn't feel that coherent towards the very ending. But I loved all the different ending shots that they used, so I'm not really complaining there. They're just two little nitpicks I found throughout the film. And, yeah, I really, really love Bumblebee. The music, the style of the film, the feel of the film, the pacing of the movie was just something I really loved. It revitalized the Transformers franchise for me. It was a movie I cannot stop gushing about, and I cannot wait to rewatch. And it's definitely the best Transformers movie we've ever got. And I'd love to see more Transformers movies directed like this. Overall, I'm going to give Bumblebee an A-. I'm also going to give Bumblebee an 8 out of 10. Guys, comment your opinions down below on this movie, and of course, thank you for watching. Goodbye.